Hey everybody, I'm sorry about missing Monday, but I don't know why I didn't do this sooner. I think it'd be really cool to try to guess the meta or what's going to come out of Sorcery Con this coming weekend. I've got some friends going. I'm sadly not going, but I'm really excited to see the decks that come out of it. And of course, when the decks get released, I will do a breakdown of meta and percentages of decks playing certain cards. But jumping into it, Avatar of Air, I think, is going to be the deck to beat. This this isn't a perfect Avatar of Air list. This is just mine. I made right after Arthurian Legends released, off the back of the Ring of Morrigan, which I think is going to be 8 out of 8 on top 8 decks. Maybe 6 out of 8. Maybe it was like a Geomancer or more of a static avatar, but I think Ring of Morrigan is going to be like 60, 70, 80% of the playfield. Trinkets are still really good. They're still good, profitable trades, and the Avatar of Air did go down a little bit. I think in the site department, because you're playing 30 sites now. You can't really reliably get Bottomless Pit or Free City. Merlin's Tower is just like almost a free spell on a land, and when you're Avatar of Air, you don't really have the ability to play two spells really consistently, like 2/3 drops. It's like play a minion grapple shot if you have a Merlin's Tower or something. Rolling Boulder is still a huge card. A lot of really good decks going into the Arthurian Legend or in Arthurian Legends throughout the testing are still they're just good decks from the previous meta from Alpha and Beta. They still have new cards with them. The new decks, like with I guess we can move on to the next one. Druid, I think I think you will see a lot of people playing Druid. I don't think it's going to do as well as a lot of people think. The Drums of Doom with a flipped Druid is disgusting. Don't get me wrong. It seems like a giant pain to get into, and you have to have an answer to it. But it turn 6 is the earliest you can get Drums of Doom without a tower or some shenanigans. But then also to flip, like, yes, once you get that set up, you're really, really hard to hit, but you have to play your sights really tight. You can't have anything across the realm where outside of your area of effect with Druid. If Druid flips and gets Drums of Doom out, I think any creature deck is going to really have a really hard time. But Drums of Doom is answerable with Land and Fate, Disenchants, and what have you. Druid doesn't have the card draw, so maybe there's the Druid combo with the Sylvan Splendor and Hamlet and draw a bunch of cards. Maybe that can see some play, but it's all very clunky and it has 5 or 6 cards. You gotta wait till turn 6. I think Avatar Air, you'll just punch them to death before they get there. But if they can kind of slow down the early game and get there, it could be good. The other one that's the whole deck archetype that came with Arthurian Legends is Knights. I don't think you're going to see a heavy 4 color Knight deck win the whole thing, just because you can get threshold screwed so easily. And like with Avatar of Air, they're running sinkholes, and just popping a blue water site, and then you can't play any of your water knights is really hard. So you have to mulligan for your tournament grounds. Where are they at? Or you need mixes, or you need some other way to do this. So maybe like a 2 or 3 color or a 2 color with a splash knights deck would do really well. Just to have a little more resiliency, and the Philosopher's Stone effect you get off of Knight or a Templar is just huge. You can just win off of a turn 1 Philosopher's Stone in a lot of decks. Another one here that was good in Alpha and Beta that I think it's still going to be good in Arthurian Legends is Geomancer. Geomancer is consistent. It gets to 6 mana. It can have a mass of minions. It has a lot of removal spells, and it just grinds you out to dust. Another artifact that might not see some play and seems good but also could be bad is Horn of Carlin. The Horn is a huge swingy card, but you have to take a turn off to play this. Like, you play this on 3, and then you play a 4 drop. It's really good, but if you top deck this mid or late game, I think it will hurt some decks and you're going to lose to it. The other thing with Knights is sometimes you're just going to lose the threshold, right? Like, sometimes the deck will beat you yourself. It will beat you. Kind of the same thing with Pathfinder, where sometimes Pathfinder just loses because you can't cast anything till turn 4. It's just a little awkward. Templar could run into that kind of issue where you have a bunch of air earth sites in hand, but you have a bunch of fire air minions, and it just gets really awkward, and you can't really stumble in a high level competitive game. Another one that was really talked about, I don't think it's going to do very well, is Witch. There's a really aggressive Witch build, playing Mono Fire, that I've seen running around. I think it will steal games, but the Witch's ability to tap and lose 2 life seems really strong, but you're not developing your board, you're not playing sites. So it could... I'm not discounting how good Witch is. Actually, I kind of am, but Witch is... I think a little overhyped. It's just you have to sit at 5 or 4 mana. You can't get the double draw like Sorcerer. I think Witch is a really cool avatar, but I don't think it's going to be as consistent as you want. Another one by Kyle is the Fury Road kind of style. Goblins, play a bunch of minions, double draw after turn 4 or 5. If you need more mana, you can just keep playing spells every single turn. 2 spells a turn. You're just going to win off a card advantage. So like this list is a very, like, the core of it is still very alpha and beta, but you're playing all these new charge minions like Redcap Prowess. You still got Slumbering Giantesses. The Ring of Morrigan is here just because the ring is just going to be so good. And the other sneaky deck that maybe we'll see some play, I don't think it's going to be like any great number, but is Flamecaller. Flamecaller, I think, is almost a better Witch. You're playing a lot of the same cards, you're being just as aggressive, but you keep developing your board where you get to turn 5 and 6 and 7. If you have a turn, you can tap and draw a sight. You can just keep drawing spells, kind of like Witch wants to do, but you're still playing sights. And then when you have a good turn with a blink or a flanking maneuver, Flamecaller can tap and throw all the minions and deal 5 to 8 to 10 damage in a turn. So Flamecaller could be a really come out of the left field aggressive deck, but we'll see. And before I forget, Archmagio, I think is going to be a really sneaky card. This is a very Death Speaker-esque kind of deck where you can get a couple Divine Healings. If you have 1 Divine Healing in hand, that really represents 14 life. And with the Sister of Avalon discard outlet, just the card advantage you get and the value you get is really, really strong. The best defense to this is Graveyard Hate. There's the new Bonfire, or is it No, Funeral Pyre, sorry. The Funeral Pyre site in Fire that banishes 3 cards. That is, if you're in Fire, play a full play set of those. This is also playing the Ring of Morrigan, because you're playing so many spells. This Ring of Morrigan is so good. Another deck I didn't talk about, but could be a Pathfinder deck, could be a Sorcerer deck, it could be any style of like tempo deck, is Land Destruction. So Castle Ablaze and Hamlet's Ablaze, play these on turn 3 and kind of mess with some mana, or you play it a little bit later and you can still kind of mess with some thresholds. But if you have a mix or something to get the Great Drowning of Men or the Year of Blaze and destroy 4 sites, in my testing, even with Geomancer, when they hit Year of the Blaze and destroyed 4 of my sites, and I went down to 3, and it was such a hard thing to come back from. It's a very, think kind of like the Roots deck or the Ragnarok, where it blows up and resets the tempo. Year of the Blaze and the Great Drowning of Men do that on a smaller scale. And if you're playing against an aggressive deck and you've gone a little bit bigger and you can get Year of the Blaze and you hit 4 of their 5 sites, it's just game over at that point. So Year of the Blaze, Hamlet's Ablaze, Castle's Ablaze, and the Great Drowning, I would say be on the lookout for. And these things will just hose any Templar or 3-4 color deck. Alright, and then just to talk about some of the cards from Ethereal Legends that I think are going to see some play. The Ring. Hane just had his video come out today. The Ring is too good of a card. In Avatar of Air, it turns any spell into the finishing blow, because you can tap, or you can fly yourself and then tap and move. You can usually get nearby any avatar with the Ring while having the Ring of Morgan with Avatar of Air. I really hope this kind of sees a nerf to where it says whenever this unit casts a spell, it may do damage to a target unit. I hope that says target minion in sometime in the future. But Ring of Morgan is going to be in so many decks. All right, in Magics, the one I'm going to call out here really is Feast for Crows. Feast for Crows is a huge card. If you know the meta and know decks and know what you lose to, Feast of Crows can just take out an entire game plan of your opponents. Feast for Crows for Grapple Shot just shuts off so many wins and so much damage. I would gladly play the Feast of Crows for Grapple Shot if I didn't know what my opponent was on and I saw that we were on air. Grapple Shot, but Feast of Crows can just remove that whole idea. And then if you're playing a land destruction deck, you can grab a Hamlet's Ablaze or something like that to help keep your stuff around. Feast of Crows is a great card. And it's also really good against like combo. If you see Death Speaker, actually I don't think you're going to see a lot of Death Speaker, but Death Speaker steal your turns kind of with Candleless Monks combo, Feast for Crows can just take all the monks out and then there you go. Really, really great card here. And then Sirs, I think, are going to be great in the colors that there are. So like Sir Balin is a 4/4 first strike for 4. And so if you're in Fire and Air, this is probably one of your best minions. Don't even look at his effect. Like, his effect is great too, but just on rate, he seems really, really strong. And so I think a lot of the Sirs are going to be played just for value. Sir Boris, if you can give this thing charge and just come down and shoot for 4, is really good. And Sir Morian stopping projectiles and then coming down with 2 foot soldiers, so you're paying 4 mana for 5 points of toughness and power across 3 bodies, just seems really, really, really strong. So I think Sirs are going to be great adds to decks. I don't think the Templar deck is going to perform as well as a lot of people hope or think, but the Sirs will be great in a lot of decks. All right, well, what do you guys think? What do you think I'm right or wrong about? The Ring is going to be the best card in the playfield in a lot of decks. Avatar of Air, I believe, is the deck to beat. Maybe we see some rogue decks come out of it. Maybe the Geomancer takes it down again. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. I'll see you next time.